conference at 5:30. So being mindful of that, recognize the gentleman from Pennsylvania for his questions.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. Chairman Biggs, talking about the FISA reauthorization, you know that we saw under the Obama administration, the intel community and the administration abusing their power to target American citizens for overtly political reasons. How does this legislation protect Americans' constitutional rights?
So thank you for the question. So what we're talking about is you are using Section 702. They were using it as a weapon to spy. And so what we've done is when you put a warrant in place, Section 702 in particular is dealing with acquiring communications data for foreign persons in foreign countries. Invariably, there's going to be U.S. citizens' information swept up in there. They were using that and going forward on that. And by having a warrant, we actually intercept that negative process. On the overall FISA, though, in Title I, for instance, by increasing, as Mr. Nadler pointed out, the scope of the amici to be appointed, you're going to have more assistance by the amicus process. But more than that, what we do that's really different than the other side, than the other bill, is we actually allow members of Congress to go in to any proceeding by FISC, so you can actually oversee and come back and report and make lucid legislative changes.
So, Mr. Biggs, it's my understanding that this legislation will both protect our constitutional rights with the process you just described, but it'll still help keep us safe from terrorist activity, correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And the way you do that is we provide exceptions. So if there's a credible imminent threat and the analyst decides we have to go ahead and query so we can protect somebody, they can move forward. They've used the example, for instance, of a general who was protected by because of the use of 702 data. But what you could have done is you could have obtained consent, and we specifically make an exception through consent to get that information go forward.
What's the mechanism to protect a situation where somebody just views every situation as an exigent circumstance? What protection is there for that?
Well, you can get punished for that. You can have criminal and civil liabilities. The amicus is designed hopefully to be there, but also by having more legislative control. Plus the reporting requirements that I think every quarter. That's what we do. So there's more active reporting requirements so we can see and follow up on those as well.
Thanks, Chairman Biggs. I appreciate it. Before I go on to HR 357, Chairman Nadler, do you have anything you want to add on the FISA reauthorization?
No, I think Chairman, excuse me, I think Mr. Biggs has said it very well. The Judiciary Committee bill, by imposing warrant requirements and doing the other things we've talked about, protect civil liberties at the same time as protecting the security of the country. The HIPC bill is what's the word I'm looking for? Is an illusion. It doesn't protect civil liberties at all. And Mr. Biggs went into some of the details of why it doesn't. I'm not going to repeat them, but for all the reasons he stated, and I could add a few, it doesn't protect civil liberties, and it's an illusion. And in particular, an 8-year reauthorization. We have never reauthorized FISA for anything near that length of time.
Well, I just want to thank both of you gentlemen for all the work you put into this, and I think a lot of us appreciate it. I just want to hit on 357 before we move on. So to shift gears, Chairman Biggs, as you know, we're here in the middle of D.C. It's one of the most liberal cities, if not the most liberal cities in the United States. Most of the people here work as unelected career bureaucrats, and because of that, there's a lot of bias in regulation. How does this legislation ensure that this bias doesn't damage our nation?
The idea behind this is so that the political appointee who is accountable through politics, through the Republican form of government that we have, to make sure that they'll have accountability. So when you start talking about, and I don't want to ramble on too much, but when you start talking about the bureaucracy, both Democrats and Republican administrations have expressed frustration with the ability to get things done because the bureaucracy itself has become the fourth state, the fourth branch of government, the administrative state. And we're now trying to say, just to initiate and sign off on a regulation, you need to have that political appointees, so there's accountability. That's it. We're looking for transparency and accountability. That's the nature of it.
Thanks. And in your remarks, you were talking about if you were to stack up all these regulations, it would be so high. Just to put it in perspective, from 2001 to 2017, over 2,000 rules were issued at the Department of Health and Human Services. And again, that's by unelected career bureaucrats. The American people have no say in who they are. They're not accountable to anybody. Do you think that that's a threat to democracy?
Well, absolutely. And during that, by the way, same period, FDA, 96% of regulations came out from those guys, that dealing with those products. And so, yeah, it gets away from us as elected representatives, and this is trying to at least bring that back to some semblance of representative government.
Again, I appreciate all your work on this. I've got more questions, but for the sake of time, I'm going to yield back.
Chair, thanks, the gentleman.